Hey everyone, welcome back. I am the Electrical Code Coach, and this is the Estimating Masterclass, Lesson 2. In this lesson, we're going to learn all about your day rate. We're going to learn about the market normal and how to keep the market healthy. Let's get to it. So far in our video series, we've learned about the juggling act, how business really is just a juggling act. We've also learned about priority number one, that someone's number one priority in your company needs to be high quality estimates. We've also learned about self-presentation, not only how you present yourself to your customers, but the market as a whole. Today we're going to learn about the day rate. What is a day rate? How do we apply the day rate and how do we calculate it? If you call me for coaching, and I have people call me from all around the country for business coaching, specifically in estimates, and I will not even engage with them until they tell me what their day rate is. So the question is, what is a day rate? Your day rate is the minimum you can charge to pay yourself, your employees, your bills, and to be profitable. Let me say it again. Your day rate is the minimum you can charge to pay yourself, your employees, your bills, and be profitable. It may sound noble when you first start a company that you're going to reinvest everything back in the business. That's not how it works. Because when you're in the honeymoon stage of starting your company and everything's fun and exciting, that sounds like a great idea. But when the days get hard, they get long, the customers are screaming and the employees don't show up, you being at someone's home at 7 p.m. and you don't have a paycheck on Friday because you're, quote, reinvesting it all in the business, that won't last long. You only have so much mental capacity and abilities to handle things. I'm learning in business that the number one thing that we're going to do from the beginning is stress mitigation, and we're going to cover that later in this series. To calculate your day rate, what you're going to do is you're going to take all of your monthly expenses and multiply that by 20%, and then we're going to divide that by the number of work days that you're wanting to work. If you're wanting to work 5 days a week, we're going to divide by 20. If you're wanting to work all of the Saturdays as well, you're going to divide by 24. I caution you to never try to work a full 7 days a week all the time. We just weren't engineered for it. You need a day to recalibrate, refocus, focus on your family. You can do it for a while, but it will catch up to you. We're trying to build you a long, sustainable business, one that lasts a long time and that is profitable. All right, let's go ahead and learn how to calculate our day rate. On the left-hand side, I have some sample calculations, and we're going to go through them now. The first person I want you to list is yourself and how much you would like to make. Not how much you need to make, but how much you would like to make. And what I mean is maybe you have a spouse that works and you're like, oh, I could make $70 a day and still live. We're not talking about living. We're building the business today that you want to have 2 years from now. So start on the left-hand side with your pay and then cover payroll. If you had $12,000 in payroll, you would have multiple employees, and that's fine. I'm talking about your employees' payroll. We're going to use this sample calculation as if this person only has 2 employees. But you could divide this and make it your day rate even smaller per crew if you had multiple crews, and I'll explain what that means more here in a little bit. Then I want you to put things like insurance, gas, vehicle maintenance. Are you going to need tires this year? Do you want to calculate tires every year? I want you to put a little bit for advertising, licensing fees, taxes, and if you want to put, oops, I forgot something, $500, that's fine as well. What you're going to do is you're going to total all of that up. Then we're going to take that, and we have $18,455 before profit. That's just what it costs to keep your doors open. That is not how we run a business. We're not here just to keep the doors open. How you give Christmas bonuses and level up and buy new trucks and get better buildings is by incorporating profit into your business. And how we're going to do that is we're going to take that initial overhead and we're going to multiply it by 1.20. That's a 20% increase. That means you now have a company, as long as you're charging your minimum day rate, that not only has payroll covered, has your insurance, gas, it has money to put tires on the van this winter. It also is a profitable company. I assure you that only about 2% of the companies in your area know whether they're profitable at all. They're just playing the game. As long as the doors are open, as long as we're making money. And some of the bigger corporations, you might be surprised, might only live off of 5% profit or 10% profit. I want you to have a 20% profitable company. There's nothing like waking up in the morning and putting your pants on and knowing not only that are you going to be paid, your employees are going to be paid, the tires are going to be on the van, and I've got a company, and not only that, it's a 20% profitable company. Now you may end up being much more, but you know as long as you're charging your minimum day rate, you're going to be 20% profitable. It puts a brand new pep in your step. And the number one thing that it does for you, and I really want you to get from today's video, is that everything's going to be okay. If you are charging your minimum day rate, everything's going to be okay. The payroll's there, the maintenance is there, and we're profitable. When the days get hard and long and you're in the attic or the crawl space, or you have a customer scream at you, or you don't want to do it, or you have family drama, if you can know in the back of your subconscious that everything's going to be okay, it will allow you to have more bandwidth to operate on the drama items that come up in life. If you don't know if you're profitable, if you don't know if you're going to get paid on Friday, if you're not sure payroll is going to be in the bank for the employees, that stuff will eat at you from the inside. I want you to not only have a company, I want you to be profitable, and I want you to be healthy. I want you to have, that work-life balance business, you can throw that out the window, but I want you to have a work-life harmony where you know that everything's okay at work because we're charging the minimums. Now let's go deal with the crazy customers. I assure you, this is the key to you being healthy. Now to figure out the day rate, we would take that number and divide it by 20. This mock company is wanting to work 20 days a week. That's 5 days a week, 4 weeks in a row for 20 days. So this company here has to bill out $1,107 approximately a day in order to be profitable. That's if they have one crew working. If they have two crews working, you could divide that in half and have it be each crew. And that's okay. But today, just to make it very simple, if you've got one crew working, you need to take your total overhead, divide it by your number of working days, and that's going to let you know how much that you need to charge. If we divided that by 2 crews, you could be billing out $553 per day per crew. We have here that our day rate is $1,107. I would just call it 1100. Make it something simple, make it flow. And what this allows you to do is do small estimates very quickly. If you go out there and you think in your mind that it's going to take about a day, you can be like, ma'am, that'll be about $1,100 plus parts. And you can quickly give that estimate right there on the spot. In this market that we're in, you have to be very quick with your estimates. You have to be very, honest with your estimates, and you have to get back to the people quickly, because people will beat you. And one of the fastest ways that you can make sure that you're the first one is to be the first one to give the estimate right there in person. So if they have any questions, you can answer them right there on the spot. Now, you can't do that right away. I don't want you to, and we're going to learn about that here in a little bit. You might not be able to give the prices right away. You might want to step out to the car and do some calculating. But I want you to get to a point where most of your estimates you're doing right there on the spot in person for jobs that are under 5 days. If it's over that, or if it's a large house, I definitely want you to go back, crunch the numbers. And you got to feel the person out too. If it looks like they're wanting a price right then, go ahead and give it to them, or step out to the car, or make a phone call. Don't hesitate to get on Google and check some material prices. And we'll cover that more in depth as we go. So if the full day here for this company is 1100, what about a half day? Do I just divide that by 2? And the answer is no. You're going to want to charge a little bit more than your day rate for a half a day, because it costs just as much gas to go for a half a day. And I assure you that your employees are not working exactly half a day and going directly to the next job. You're going to lose a little bit. You may not believe this, but if you have some employees, sometimes they'll forget their phone charger. And when they leave one job, they drive 7 miles to get their phone charger from their house because they got to have their phone on them. Or they'll go spend 35 minutes in a bathroom at some fast food place twice a day. So you want to set yourself up to calculate all of that in. I'm not excusing what employees do, but I'm telling you that there's going to be some slag time in between that half a day project and then them going to another project. So you want your half a day rate to be a little bit higher. If I go out to a job and it's going to be a small estimate and I think it will take in between 2 and 4 hours, in this scenario, I would tell them, ma'am, that'll be about $650 plus parts. And that would be my half a day rate. If my guys get done in 3 hours, maybe I can give them a break. If they get done in 4 or 5 hours, I've still got plenty of time covered and hopefully enough time for them to go to another job and produce there. You want to make sure that you're covered on that. Now that we know that, we can do small jobs very easily, like I said. 2 to 4 hours, we have $650 to $700. If we have 4.5 to 8 hours, just go ahead and call it a full day. There's only so much money that can be made in a day. You have to be able to go to sleep and feel good about yourself at night. But I assure you that you can charge a premium price, but deliver a super premium service. One thing that people think is that it takes 80% more effort to charge 20% more pay. But I promise you it's not like that. You can deliver 20% more service and charge up to 80% more than the other people that are around you. And people will beat down your door to have you work for them because you deliver them what they want. People are going to hire the person that they think is going to give them what they want, and price is a secondary issue. Now we're going to put boots on the ground and actually start doing some estimating to show you what we're talking about here and how we reconcile all estimates by our day rate. We're going to do the what feels good method. And this is how most people, and I'll admit at first, this is how I estimated projects. I would write down everything they wanted. I would take it piece by piece. I would charge for that individual piece. I would roll them all together and I would give them a price. And this is why we're going to show you and how we're going to show you that what feels good does not always work. There is a sweet spot for every estimate, but that doesn't mean just because it feels good doesn't mean that it makes the minimum that you have to charge. Let's go ahead and look at this now. Let's imagine that we're installing a new ceiling fan in a room. You might say you can do that for $75. You might charge $225 in your area, whatever's appropriate. Let's imagine that we're replacing the kitchen 5 outdated lights, where they got new fixtures already there on site. Let's say I could do that for $225. Let's go here and say that we're installing an outdoor GSEI. The panel's right there by the area, and let's say it's another $225. Let's imagine that we have a flickering light in the hallway. I say, okay, ma'am, I'm going to figure in some troubleshooting time. I'll figure in about an hour. That's $75 for the troubleshooting, and you might find the problem very quickly. And let's imagine that we're going to check any outlets for repair in a bedroom. I'm going to go ahead and replace all 5 of them while I'm there. And let's say I can do that for $225. Now your area might be much higher. You might think those prices are high. I'm going somewhere there with this. But if you look at that, regardless of what you put, you might think that feels good, right? Total all that up equals $825. Sounds like a decent deal. We'll say $825 plus parts just to make this illustration simple. You go in and tell her $825. Now we know that that's at least going to take a 2-man crew a day, right? And it might take multiple days. But even if we did it by the day rate, you didn't meet your minimum day rate. The minimum day rate for this company was $1,100. It felt good at $825, but his day rate, the math doesn't lie. It's $1,100. He did not meet his day rate. If you don't meet your day rate enough days in a row, there's going to be a deficiency somewhere. That's why we reconcile everything with our day rate. I have no problem with you doing what feels good one piece at a time, totaling that up. But then you need to pan out at 30,000 feet and say, how many days is this going to take me? Well, if I come up with one number and it doesn't meet my day rate, I've got to at least bring it up to my day rate. Now here in a few minutes, we're going to learn about market normals, and you might need to charge even more than that depending on the specific job. Now let's look at this exact same job another way. We have the same job, but I want you to start thinking in things in terms of time. We don't charge by the hour unless we're doing certain situations like we're getting ready to learn. Maybe not in this video, it might be in next week. But I'm going to show you now how to think about this estimate in the way of time. That way you can just take and multiply it by your day rate and end up with the correct price. So we go here. How long do we think it would take to install a new ceiling fan in this living room? Maybe about an hour. We have the 5 kitchen lights. Let's say that would take about 6 hours. Let's say we have 6 hours to run a wire from the panel to outdoor, put the weather resistant, tamper resistant receptacle on, bubble cover, whole 9 yards. Let's imagine that we have 1 hour calculated for the troubleshooting and that we had 4 hours for replacing the 5 receptacles inside of a bedroom. Don't forget that for every one of these pieces, I might have panel work. So don't ever forget your panel work when you're doing this. I figured heavy on this, so I'm covered with my panel work and I feel fine. Now let's total this up and multiply it by our day rate. We have 18 hours total. That equals 2.5 days. I'm going to be charging $1,100 for the first 2 days, and then I have to charge that a little bit inflated rate for that half a day because I'm going to be there another half a day. So I've got 2 full days, half a day at my inflated half a day rate, and that exact same job that I felt good at $825, I needed to be charging $2,850. And if you look at this job, that's a fair price. If you look at everything, you might be there for a couple days. But watch this now. Just because I've calculated it by my day rate, now I need to look at the intrinsic value of this project. And I might even charge more than my minimum. $2,850 is the minimum that I can charge to keep the doors open, to pay myself, the employees, to put tires on the van this winter, and profitable, and to know that everything's going to be okay. But I need to pan out and look at the job and say, hey, is there more room here? I don't want to hurt the market, and we're going to learn about market normal and how to keep the market healthy later in this video. Now let me show you how this is going to speed up your estimates very quickly. One of the biggest ones I have is I can't get estimates back quick enough. I don't know how to calculate them. Where do I start? Well, let me show you where to start. In this scenario, you would walk through the customer's home. And I will walk through and listen to them and add comments where needed. And then before I give them a price or before I leave, I will walk back through the customer's home and reiterate exactly what they said to me. We're going to come here and we're going to add these 2 outlets. Then we're going to head to the kitchen and we're going to replace these receptacles. You said that you wanted white. And then reiterate all this. And the biggest thing I want to give you today is that I want you to pull out your phone and shoot a video of it. This is going to be a game changer for you. It absolutely changed the game for me. I was the chief estimator at a company and was just blessed with this idea. I literally take my phone out, have the customer follow me, and I will put on video everything that the customer wants. Then I can go back to my shop or office if I don't quote it right there, rewatch the video and make sure that I don't miss something. And the other big thing that it does is that when you come back to do the work, let's say it's 6 weeks later, you know everything that the customer said. You caught the atmosphere of the estimate right there on the video. You have video proof that, because what will happen sometimes is when your employees get there, the customer will be like, oh yeah, he included changing the dining room light when you didn't do that. So you can pull that video back out. They're following you around while you're making the video. And you can have proof, ma'am, see, we didn't do that. You have to be very clear about what's on the video. So I'm going to go through and I walk back through and I shoot a video. I make sure the customer doesn't get in it, and I'll make a little joke about it and say, don't worry, I'll make sure you're not in the video. And I walk around and I say, so we're going to go to the dining room and we are going to install 2 receptacles. We're going to go to the kitchen. And then I shoot the whole video while the customer's following me. So if I get something wrong, I'll pause the video and fix it right there on the video so my employees know. It is twofold. It does everything that I just taught you, and it also allows you, if the customer accepts the job, you can send that video to your employees and you don't have to do a debriefing on every single job. All you have to do is show them the video, and while they're on the way to supply house, they can watch the video and they can see what color the receptacles are. They can see if it's a multifamily dwelling, is this a commercial project, and they can have a full grasp on the job. So when your employees walk up on the job, they know what's going on. So that's what I would do there. I would list everything, go back around and reiterate everything they said, and then before I call and give them the price, I will then reiterate again everything that was said so I'm clear, and then I'll give that price. But we'll touch on that in a bit. Now I want to show you how thinking in days is going to speed up your estimating. Let's look at this exact same project a third time. Let's look at the first 2 items. I could probably get that done in about a day. Let's look at the second 2 items, running the circuit, flickering lights. I can get that done in about a day. Then I'm going to tack on a half a day, multiply that by my day rate, and the minimum that I can charge labor is $2,850. That's how you get this done. I went from looking at it by piecemeal to looking at it by the hour at first until I get a hold on it. And then what I do is I will do it by the day. I say about a day, half a day, man, that'll be about $2,850 plus parts. And then I am on the road. I get the job. I gave the estimate quicker than you. I've made the customer feel more comfortable. I felt confident in my price when I said it. I didn't have to say, And when my men or employees go out on the job, I feel confident in my estimate because I took all the time that it needed in the day, gave them enough hours to get it done. Now, your projections might be high or might be low, and as long as you're winning more than you're losing, you'll be okay. Let's say I had 5 jobs and they finished them 2 hours early, according to my day rate, and I had one job and they finished it a few hours later. As long as it all balances out and you're keeping that day rate, and you can keep track of it over the week, watching those hours as they progress. Now let's talk about day rate versus market normal. This is how you keep your market healthy and you make sure that you're not running around eating soup with a fork, meaning that you're busy working all the time but you never get full. We're going to use this panel change here, and we're going to say that it's a panel change best case scenario. Meter sockets in good condition, service wires in good shape. You're just changing the panel only, and we're going to look at it. Let's say that you feel comfortable that you could get this done in a day. And let's say your day rate is $1,100 like in this scenario. Well, would you charge only $1,100 for this project? Or is that too much in your area? One thing I love about capitalism, and the reason we don't need any type of socialism, is the market will let you know if you're charging too much. But if my day rate is only $1,100 and I know that the market normal in my area for a panel change is $1,800 to $2,500, I need to be charging the market normal. $1,100 is my minimum. If it's an emergency case or the customer's in dire straits and you want to help them, maybe you want to take it down to $1,100 and help them. But if your market normal is $1,800 to $2,500, then you got to be keeping the market healthy. Don't be running around doing things cheaper than everybody else thinking you're bad to the bone because you got a lot of work. You're bringing down the prices and the market as a whole in your area. We have to know what the market normals are. Well, I can already imagine now your question is, how do I find out the market normal? Well, you can do some Google searches, that's fine. But you need to start making, and this is where that pride over position situation that I covered in the first video, you need to start making friends with the local electrical contractors. Let them know that you're here as an asset. Maybe you're good at motors, or maybe you're in a different industry and you're good in a subset of that industry. Offer yourself as a resource to them. And I'm going to use an electrician as an example. Say, hey, I'm really good at motors. It's probably one of the best things. If you ever need help sizing the breaker, short circuit ground fault protection, the motor overloads, or calculating anything, you let me know. Call them back a few weeks later and be like, hey, what are you charging for a panel change? I'm not, I want to make sure that I'm competitive. I don't want to be underbidding anybody. I want to make sure that we're all, and we're not bid rigging. You're just asking them what the market normal is. Not, hey, I'm going to charge this, you charge this. We're not into that. You can get a feel, though, for what the healthy normal is in your market. And the reason is the person that you're talking to on the phone may have been doing it for 25 years, and he knows what it takes to do it and make money and the customer will be safe. So we're not trying to bid rig. We just want to make sure that there is establish kind of what the market normal range is. You don't have to ask for a specific price. You can ask for a range just because that contractor knows that, hey, this is what it takes to provide that high quality job and the customer be safe. Listen to me for just a second. If you're a homeowner and you don't do any type of work like that, or you are a contractor, if the price is too low, somebody's paying for it. And if you're the homeowner looking at an estimate, it's you. Either in cheaper materials, cheaper quality of labor, less diligence on the project. There is no, if it's too good to be true, it is. So we want to make sure that we know the market normal and that we're charging the market normal to keep a healthy market, to make sure that you're not living in poverty or going out of business, and that you're able to take care of your people and that you do well. It is your responsibility to know and respect the market rate in your area so you can be competitive, keep the market healthy, and make a good living. That was the day rate versus market normal. Now let's learn about the day rate versus being competitive in your market. And this is where capitalism shines. The market will speak. If you're charging too much, you're not going to be getting enough estimates or high quality jobs in order to keep your company open. Let's imagine that your day rate is $1,100 and the average competitive day rate is around $950 in your area. You might be able to get this directly from somebody else, what they're charging per hour, then multiply that by 8. You might be able to get around what they charge a day. You might get it through looking at someone else's estimate that they gave a customer, if you can get those numbers. But you got to figure out, and you will through time, and sometimes it's just through customers telling you no. No, I'm sorry, you're too high. And if you do it enough, you'll find out that your day rate is too high. Now, there's a couple ways that we can lower it. The first one is by lowering your overall overhead. Listen to me, and this is where you need to go first. The first place you need to look at and see if you can cut some of the fat in your business. See if you can cut out some of the things that you don't need to be spending money on, like cups and plates and bowls and pens and all the things with your company name on it. The nicest shirts, the nicest tools, and all of those things you will get over time. But if you have a truck full of the nicest tools with company pins with your name on it and the best yard signs, but you don't have any customers, you have a hobby, right? If you're not being profitable and making money, you have a hobby. Might be a lucrative hobby, but it's still just a hobby. You want to get out of that hobby business and you want to start running a company. Something that you can build and keep and pass on as inheritance, or maybe that you can have someone else come and acquire like I have in the past. With that being said, start by lowering your overhead. Cut your cell phone bill as low as you can. Cut your driving down. Cut your insurances, not without cutting your general, but maybe you can look at things and just recalibrate. The second way to lower your day rate is to pay yourself less. I submit to you, you might be paying yourself too much for where you're at in the game. If you've only been in it 1 to 5 years and you're already trying to make, in between $1,000 and $3,000 a week, it might be too high. If you're doing that and you're not struggling, I say go for it. But set yourself up at a nominal salary. Let's say you just started. Why don't you start at first trying to make $600 a week for you? Put that in your day rate calculation and try to make sure you pay it. If you don't get that 3 weeks in a row, then you need to dial it back down to what you can achieve. Because what happens is if you're expecting 6 and you only get 4, it does mess with you mentally as you're trying to gain this momentum. Momentum is the number one asset in business. It's not everything else. It's momentum. You've got to get momentum, and that's what we're doing now. And it's by these positive moves of every week I'm getting my 400, I'm hitting my goals. But you might have to bring your goals down a little bit. If your day rate is too high, you might just have to pay yourself less. You might just be overpaying yourself. You're trying to make the long-term wages that you're going to have 4 or 5 years from now. You're trying to make them today, and it just doesn't work like that. You have to grow very slowly. And while we're talking about growth, you need to make sure that you're paying yourself on the same day that your employees get paid. And you need to make sure that you're paying yourself a little bit more on a consistent basis, whether you want to give yourself raises quarterly, monthly, however you want to do that. Just make sure that it's consistent. And then the last one, and this one's a slippery slope, you could add more work days, but you got to be careful there because adding more employees or adding more work days adds more overhead to this original calculation. And for each one that you add, you're going to have to raise that day rate. It can get very sticky. So start with some overhead of stuff you're wasting money on, maybe some advertising you don't need. Then look at paying yourself a little bit less, just temporarily, just till you get where you're going. And then also you can look at adding more work days and adding more employees. Let's look at the day rate versus you. And this is where you can start to become more profitable than just 20%. Not only might you charge more on certain projects, you might be able to get things done quicker, but this is where you as the owner needs to be constantly focused, and that's the day rate versus you. Let's say you quoted a job and you think it'd take about 8 hours, so you quoted your day rate of 1,100 plus parts. Let's imagine now that you get busy. You get busy prepping material, prepping your men, prepping the schedule, prepping the right team, hustling your tail off, and you get that job done in 6 hours. At 8 hours, you were 20% profitable. What will you be at 6 hours? And what if you get it done in 4 hours? Get your material there, get things on, make sure you've got the right team for the right job. Make sure the customer's home before your men drive over there. That's where you get busy helping your company go from having the doors open and being profitable, that's great, to being really profitable, to be where you can really help and give like you want to give, do what you want to do, pay your employees like you want to pay, vacation like you want a vacation, company party like you want a company party, new truck like you want a new truck. This is where you get busy. This is where you hustle. This is where you take it to the next level. When you decide that I'm not going to be average, I'm not going to be where I've been the last 4 years, I'm going to decide to take my company to the next level, and I'm going to do it through grit. Sometimes it's new software, sometimes it's outsmarting the competition, but sometimes it's just grit. You got to get that grit that you're going to go out and go get it. You're going to do it. There's nothing that you say that you're not going to be able to do. As long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, and I want it, buddy, I'm getting it. If I say that I'm going to get it, I'm going to go get it because I'm not going to stop until I do. So this is where you just say, I'm going to get busy prepping material, prepping your men, prepping the right team, hustling, and I'm going to take my company from great to awesome to epic, and I'm going to get out here and get it. Let's get to it. In this video, we learned about our day rate. We learned that that's our minimum charge. It's how we quickly figure small projects and how we can use it to figure any project. It's how we keep score. You know that you're going to be paid, your employees are going to be paid, there's going to be money for maintenance on the vehicles, and that you're profitable. You have a profitable company. You will walk with a new stride and a new step knowing that. And it's how we reconcile all estimates. I'm going to teach you in the next few videos how to calculate multiple ways, but how we look back and pan out and make sure that it's at least hitting our minimum day rate. No matter what, you must be charging to cover your minimum, or you'll end up broke and always wanting. I am the electrical code coach, and my bargain is that these videos will add value to you, and you will in turn go out and add value to others. If there's anything I can do to help you in life or business, I just want to see you win. You can email me at electricalcodecoach@gmail.com. Let's get to it.